What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Man, it's too chilly for that there fan. How's it going? So today, this morning, I was just looking through, Guitar World and Music Radar, and just kind of just looking through stuff this morning before I made this video, just to see what was going on. And it occurred to me that most of the articles on the Guitar World stuff and like all those various those websites, it felt very tabloidy, right? It wasn't like this is a pedal, this is a. And of course, they have that stuff, but it's like this is a pedal, this is an amp, none of that kind of stuff. The new stuff coming out or whatever. The front page was all like, "This is why Joan Jett broke up with her band." Like it's weird, like almost tabloid kind of stuff. Um, why this guy didn't play this record, this instrument on this record, what happened between these two, whatever, or an entire article or series of articles around something that somebody said on a podcast, like just weird stuff like that. And not just one magazine. Like if you kind of go across all of them, they're sort of the same. Um, not to be like old man yelling at clouds, but I'm sure a lot of us remember when magazines, before YouTube, that was like the only way you got anything. I remember wanting to go to Barnes and Noble or wherever. Actually, not Leslie, I was married before, and my wife, before my ex-wife, she was a manager at Barnes and Noble. So, like, I was there all the time, and I would literally sit there and just look at the newsstand. I mean, it's just the funnest thing. Um, the problem is that it's not kind of like that anymore. So, for example, during that time period when I was at the newsstand, most of the reason I was at the newsstand is because I was trying to see if I had articles there, because I was working with, I in the dirt bike days of what I used to do. So for those of you that don't, many of you who follow this channel know, but in the past I engineered motorcycle parts before I got back to music. I was in music all my life, but I got away from it for a little bit, and I was doing for about a decade or so. I was doing motorcycle engineering, like fuel delivery and suspension and et cetera, et cetera. And so I was working on dirt bikes, and I was developing parts for dirt bikes, and I had a pretty good relationship with the editor of Dirt Bike Magazine, the editor of Dirt Rider Magazine. This is before YouTube really was a thing. Online television was kind of a thing. There was some online TV shows, but there wasn't. YouTube wasn't around. This was in the mid 2000s or early to late 2000s, and yeah, so it just kind of wasn't a thing. And so we would basically, the way we would develop a product is we'd find out about a new bike coming out or something, and we realized that, oh, it needs this. We specialized in taking emissions off of stuff because it was starting to be that time period, and redeveloping cylinder heads to go with it, and getting rid of air pumps, and we did a lot of that stuff. Anyways, so when a new bike came out and we needed that stuff, then it needed that stuff. We got a hold of one of those bikes. We wrote an article about it, kind of a how-to thing, basically very similar to what I do now. Write a how-to about it, and then present a solution. And about the time the magazine came out, and the bike came out, and the product came out, it was awesome. And we would sell a bunch of them. And, so I was always looking for, hey, did this come out? Is this supposed to come out in this issue? So in the garage, I have a whole box, like a huge box of Dirt Bike and Dirt Rider and all these various magazines that I had stuff in at that time. It's kind of neat. Anyways, that's kind of how magazines were. There was very technical things in it. There was editorial in it, right? So my business partner at the time, he was the one that wrote the I don't remember what they called it, but it was like the, in the back of the magazine where you would have like kind of like funny stuff, and it was sort of like the latest news, and there was also some editorial in the back of the magazine, or maybe in the front, right at the front, there would be letters from me. So my buddy wrote all those for Dirt Bike. And anyway, so there's always useful stuff. And then YouTube came along and it sort of democratized the way we get information. And so now you kind of can get it from all over the place. And if you go to Barnes and Noble now, you'll see that there's way less amount of magazines, and even the ones that are still around are a lot thinner. There's just not as many eyeballs on them. And some magazines don't even publish physical copies anymore because they've got the online things. And what's weird is that instead of the product being the product in the magazine, the attention on the magazine became the product. Does that make sense? So the fact that you click on a Guitar World or a Guitar Player article is the thing that makes the magazine money. Now, companies do still pay for placement in magazines, even though they say they don't, but they do. If you don't, just FYI, if you don't buy advertising in magazines, even online ones, the companies won't really talk to you or feature your stuff. Probably 8 years ago or something, I was in all of them, but mostly Premier Guitar, because I was friends with those guys, and I was friends with I am friends with John Bollinger, and I was friends with there's another editor that he's no longer there, and the publisher. I'm really good friends with John, and so these guys text me like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, we're cool, but because I don't buy advertising in the magazine, then therefore I don't get featured. So it's weird because it's not weird. I get it. I understand why it works that way. That's the way the business works. So I'm not saying it. I'm not mad at it or whatever. If I wanted to spend a couple of grand this month on some advertising, I'd probably be in the magazines next month. And so it's no big deal. It's just how it works. But what that means is the product. So let's say my pickups as a solution for a problem aren't what the magazine is necessarily looking for. They're looking for stuff that actually gains a click, gains a view, because that's where because the advertising dollars is what drives it. It's always been like that, but it just feels different now that it's online. In a lot of media in general, this, but in the guitar space, I'm looking at it specifically in the guitar space. I don't want to get in a huge political conversation about it because it could get there about the media. I don't care about that. But for the guitar, for this conversation, for the guitar stuff though, it's almost like it's about the coverage of the coverage. So like, for example, like I just mentioned to somebody who's on a podcast. So it's like they'll talk about somebody talking about stuff. They'll do all, I don't know, it's just kind of funny. It just feels like it's lost its way a little bit. So here's my question. I guess the reason I've been thinking about this is, I'm always looking. And this is, again, I know that there could be people that get in the comments that are like, you're just looking for advertising, like you're looking for an answer to your own problem. I'm not. I've got an awesome program here. Like we're doing it's working. So this is genuine curiosity. Like, do you still read guitar magazines? Either physical or online. do you subscribe to any of them? Do you pay I think like, what is guitar is like $40 a year for the online thing or something. And I pay that because, well, I was paying it because we were doing like a new gear thing every week, and I really should start that again. Um, it's a lot of work. It takes half a day or more to shoot that video. That's why I stopped doing it. I just couldn't sustain it. Anyways, but that to me, uh, is the biggest question. Are you still reading this stuff? Do you still care about it, the online magazine stuff? If not, where do you get your guitar news? Obviously NAMM comes out and it's everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain events around the year where you're getting it no matter what, whether you want to or not. But new guitars, industry changes, new artists, new music, new technical information, or just general guitar culture. Is that, where do you get that? And a lot of people say on YouTube, maybe they'll say in Facebook groups, they'll say maybe in Reddit, they'll say, podcasts. Maybe you follow various particular retailers, like for example, if you subscribe to Andertons, they're going to talk about every guitar that they carry as it comes out. And so if you subscribe to a few different retailers so that it covers the bases of all the, because not every retailer has all the brands. Maybe you subscribe to Sweetwater because they have tons. Maybe you subscribe to, not subscribe, but maybe, follow on Instagram or whatever so that you get all of their stuff. I don't know. Forums. Is anybody still hanging out in like Harmony Central or any of that kind of stuff, or Gear Page? Is that even still a thing? This sounds terrible. I don't spend hardly any time in guitar culture online. I do it for a couple of reasons. One, because I live and breathe this as it is. And so I don't feel like the need to spend a lot of time after hours doing it. But I also do it so that I don't, and this was the way I was even in the dirt bike industry too. I never read everybody else's stuff because I didn't want, like on a review or something, to have somebody else's thoughts form my thoughts. I want to form my own. And so when you see me do crazy things, cutting up guitars and cutting pickups apart and, stuff that doesn't make sense to you, it's because I don't get it from anywhere. It literally just comes from, I just thought of this. Somebody else already did that. I'm like, well, I didn't see it because I don't watch it. You know what I mean? Like my brain is crazy and this is where this comes from. So yes, I'm crazy. So, that's the thing. I don't really follow the stuff. I don't spend a lot of time on it. So that's why I'm asking. I'm kind of just asking y'all's opinion on it. Is there room for, a magazine where it's like proper journalism, in the guitar space? Think it's going to just end up being all advertising, it's all magazines and print media, any kind of media has always been advertising driven. And it's also why I think people get mad when they're like, you're just making a commercial, or this is, like sponsored videos and blah, 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 and angry and ads. And they're always putting ads in my stuff. Well, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's no such thing as anything free. And the content that you see doesn't just like appear out of nowhere. Somebody actually has to do it. And if somebody has to do it, they have to get paid to do it. Unless you want to just stop getting paid for what you do, we could all just stop getting paid. It'd be, I don't want to get into that. Anyways, yeah, don't. Just stop complaining about that, because you're going to have to pay for everything. If something gets put in front of your face, whether it's a banner or a Facebook ad or a, whatever, video, the little thing. I hate the little things that always pop up when you're trying to like read something, wanting you to subscribe and all that crap. I hate that stuff. But, it's part of life. It's how stuff gets paid for. It's how the world moves forward. So we have to get used to it. But at the same time, for those of us that remember when magazines were different, do you still use them? What do you think? I'm just curious because I'd like to know. And well, honestly, I just curious about what you guys find interesting. Really, that's all.